Hello, it's Howard Rheingold.
This is the second of two episodes showing interviews that were taken in 1989 in Sausalito, California at a party convened by The Well, an early virtual community. The first episode was noted on Boing Boing and Dig, so it received a pretty large number of views, about 25,000 views last time I looked. The comment thread at Boing Boing contains the names of the people who were in the first video.
To be the system administrator of The Well a number of years ago. I got roped into it by the fellow who was the system administrator before me. I currently host the Unix conference. One of my user IDs is Dr. Root.
No, she's not online, but she does help me type sometimes by walking across the keyboard. And she has an evil reputation. She's called Damn It Bird, because the first thing I ever said to her was, "Damn it, Bird, quit that." And so it's kind of stuck, but her real name is Shenanigan.
And if it's lunchtime at the office and I don't feel like going out, I'll log into The Well and go into the Pets conference and talk about my cats.
I keep Hackers Hours, a programmer by trade, and I guess the first thing I do when I get up in the morning is I log in, not to The Well, to some other system, and after that I log into The Well. Run through the conferences, quick check on everything, and then I get the newspaper and get some breakfast.
The history of it is that some years ago, about 6 years ago, Stuart Brand and the people at Whole Earth read Stephen Levy's book, Hackers, the Heroes of the Computer Revolution, and said, wow, these people would really need to get together for a weekend. So they had something they called the Hackers Conference. And by hackers, they don't mean the teenage, juvenile, criminal types that you hear about in the press. They mean something that is closely approximated by a definition that I wrote a couple of years later, which is hackers are anybody who derives joy from discovering ways to circumvent limitations.
I've been doing computer work for 20 years and I was not invited.
Well,
there were
I voted for you.
seven women that were invited to the Hackers Conference.
And we have this committee of people that we sort of say, well, who should be there? I don't know, who should be there? And we talk back and forth, and
you guys voted for who should be there?
Well,
and I was voted out?
Sorry.
Usually I check in news first to see what kinds of interesting things are happening, and then I go to wherever there's a controversy brewing, because the controversies are always interesting. It's like arguments that friends get into, and I kind of enjoy putting my 2 cents worth there. And then if I've had a particularly stressful day, I go to the Weird Conference, which is where everybody lets it all hang out.
See, I used to be co-host of Weird, but I was deposed in a coup.
We did a conference for a while that was called The Casino, and it started out as an online roulette game. But it was all conceptual, so you never really won or lost anything. So people were real creative about what they were betting. And downtown Milpitas, 5 million squids. And then it just started escalating, and people started buying each other drinks and describing the casino, and then there was a Dame Roulette, and it just went crazy. I mean, the Red Army was coming in, and it just was wild.
Personally, I prefer the Books Conference. And it's funny because I've spent my life looking for good books, professionally, for the Whole Earth catalog. And in this conference, I hear about more stuff that I actually want to read than from any other source that I use.
The news conference was very active lately because of the earthquake, and a lot of people used The Well and used the communication facilities of the news conference to talk out their feelings about the earthquake. And I think a lot of people were aided in their psychological recovery because they didn't have to leave the house to get emotional support. They'd log into The Well and say, I feel really anxious about what's happening. Other people would log in and say, me too. Or they would log in and say, here are things you can do in case there's another one, so you'll know you're doing something and it's not out of control.
Yeah, you have that feeling of connection and community that you, even though you're still sitting at home alone.
The reports were so scattershot because the radio transmitters were out all over the Bay Area, and a lot of newsrooms didn't get it together for hours. It was really important to know that people were alive.
Well, I host several conferences. I host the Psychology Conference and the Berkeley Conference, which is about the city of Berkeley, and I host the Parenting Conference. And of those, I would say the Parenting Conference is the one that's real interesting for me.
Yes, I am a well-being. She mentioned women in the well. We have men in the well, too. It's all the things that men want to talk about that, don't want the girls to hear it because they might be offended or they might reveal their true, primitive caveman-like awful male nature.
Yes, I have 2 kids, and I just think it's a tremendous way to exchange information with other parents. You can get large groups of people reading topics there, and that's a wonderful thing. Ideas you'd never thought about child rearing, equipment, or whatever, are all available right there, so it's wonderful.
Why they got a balloon on?
Hi, nice to see you. Nice to see you. I'm an extraterrestrial anthropologist. I'm studying the strange rites and customs of this planet. Obviously, I've come to Strange Rites and Customs Central. This is the art police. We're making sure things don't stay the same around here for very long. The extraterrestrial element of the well. 1, 2, 3.